It's the dream again. The city of stone.
Since I was so busy for most of April and May, I didn't get the chance to talk about as many songs as I would have liked. But now that I'm mostly free from classes, finals at least, I wanted to talk about some of the more recent comebacks, even if I am a bit later than I would have liked to be. April and May both had some pretty good releases in them, and I wanted to touch on just a few of them. I do have a Dreamcatcher and sserafim review up on my channel already if you want to check those out, but other than those two, these are the songs I had the most to say from April and May. Anyways, let's buckle our seatbelts and get ready for the ride.
Call you on my universe. You light it on my city of the day and night.
Now this song was actually released in March, but since it was the end of the month and I am really in love with this song, I still wanted to talk about it. This isn't a sound a lot of groups go for nowadays, especially at debut, which makes it even more interesting that a small group from an even smaller company would decide to go this route. Something like these songs that rely purely on emotions to perform well are usually reserved for B-sides, promotions, or special releases. It's not every day that a group is willing to come into the scene with such a raw and open song. Partially because there's just not a huge demand for them, but also because they're kind of hard to pull off. It's been a long time since a song has left me swallowing down my feelings like this. That achingly full feeling you get in your chest when you're hit with emotions you don't know what to do with. Everything lays out here, raw and true. It's up to you to choose what to do. It's nostalgic while still feeling new. It takes you to somewhere you've never been before, but doesn't quite close the door behind you, allowing for your own thoughts and feelings to creep in with you. The choreography plays into these emotions a lot. They use their numbers to their advantage, creating beautifully complex formations in their verses, only to delve headfirst into bigger, bolder movements when the chorus comes in, hitting every beat with everything that's in them. There's a lot of reaching out towards something as well, something that's not really there. The dance break is given to just one member, and he does so much for the song in just 10 seconds without ever even making eye contact with the camera. It's the most intense part of the song, and with just a few notes, this song gets taken to a whole new level, and it doesn't fizzle out until the very end. Normally when a song gets to me like this, I don't have hopes for more from the same artist. But this whole album has that same emotional feel to it, and two of the members, Van and Joohyung, produced most of this album themselves. But the member I really want to focus on is Van. He seems to be really getting pushed as the producer of the group. Now, I swear I normally don't stalk members of groups I don't even stand this hard, but Van was actually a participant on Under 19 back when the show was first airing. And he was one of the very few trainees I was really looking forward to debuting after the show ended. Clearly, nothing ever really came of that at the time, but during his jump from company to company, he made a few songs and posted them on SoundCloud. There was one song in particular, I believe, it was called Way, I'll try to find it if I can, that I really liked. And I say all this because even though the song is probably a good 2 years old by this point, and clearly wasn't as finished and finalized as any of the songs on this album, the same ideas went into it. It was a very raw and emotional song, and it had that same nostalgic EDM that this song has. So I'm really hoping this wasn't just a fluke, and their next release will be just as good, because this is one of my favorite releases in a long time, and definitely my favorite from this year. Even with just 4 songs to their name, IVE have built a sound of their own in a very oversaturated scene. All of their songs have this almost mysterious feel to them. It's like every verse is just a taste of what's to come, like something is brewing behind the scenes, directly out of our line of vision. None of their songs feel fully complete, not so much in a way that the production is lacking, but rather in a way that leaves you waiting for more even after every new release. It feels as if they haven't fully realized this sound yet, which is exciting because they can already do so much with it. This release brings a lot to the table. They continue on with the interesting progression that 11 had, but this one feels a little bit more thought out. The pre-chorus does so little, yet manages to be the most memorable part of the song. The minimalistic composition is a great juxtaposition to the very full and free chorus. But what I love most about the chorus is that it's very short and sweet. It gets its point across without muttering more than just a few words, yet it never feels empty like its counterpart. These two parts of the songs work into each other so seamlessly. However, while 2 is a couple, 3 is a crowd. I like where the song is going with the dance break. The darker feel bleeds into that taste of the unknown that we get throughout the rest of the song, but the actual execution of it was a bit awkward. It goes from this dark fantasy, very K-pop sounding song to something that feels like it would play on a 90s hip-hop album. It's short enough that it doesn't completely ruin the song for me, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a bit jarring even now. That being said, I think these girls are really onto something with their music. The sound and concept fits them very well and manages to stand out without ever going over the top. I just know with their next song they're going to strike gold. 3rd time's the charm. Starting this one off by saying I am so proud of my boys for this entire comeback. I'm sure you've heard how well they're doing a million times by now, but they've had well over a 300% sell increase on this album, and that was only counting the first day sells. Normally, I'm not the one to pay attention to stuff like this, but it's really uplifting to see a group like them get this kind of attention. I do still think they have some more interesting songs than this one, but with everything that happened before this comeback, I'm still impressed with what they managed to put out. This song is cute and extremely catchy. I really appreciate them not giving up their original morals and keeping up this bright and fun sound. If this is what they could do with what they already had in stock, imagine what's to come now that they'll have some footing underneath their feet. Their greatest strength has always been their creativity, and I'm almost sure that whatever comes next is going to show an even greater side of that. I'm not going to lie, I still don't think they'll ever be the group that they were before, especially on the stage, but I think a lot of that is just my bias talking. Even watching their performances, the new boys only got better and better as time went on. And oh my gosh, can that Mingyu dude sing. I could go on and on about what made Donkiz such a special group to watch on stage before, and I'm not sure we'll ever get those performances again. But the originals 3 still shine just as brightly, and I'm sure at the very least, the others can learn to match their energy. I'm seriously so excited to see their next move. Dongyo has always been really good about giving these boys opportunities to cash out on, and now that one of them has finally gotten them a lead, I just know they're on to bigger and better things.
Come and go like a
While I will admit that both of these songs end up diverging in very different ways, both of them have this reoccurring theme that I've been seeing in K-pop more often recently, and a lot of it has to do with this dude right here. He's a producer that goes by Talk, and while he has nothing to do with Ciipher, he's actually one of the main producers of Glitch. He has some pretty big names under his belt already, but some songs that play with the same soundscape that he's on include Superhuman by NCT 127, Side Effects by Stray Kids, and most importantly to this relationship, Triangle by Ghost9. I think if you've heard any of these songs as well as Glitch, you'll realize that he has a pretty specific soundscape that he likes to work in, and it is nothing like the vibe of Ciipher. But I do think that Ciipher's very few strengths play into what he is best at, and that's this sort of idea of finding one thin strand of commonality in the song and changing everything around it with each and every new part. In Ciipher, it's something that's pretty easy to latch onto. It's that bass line in the beginning. It is a very clear starting point for the song, and there are components being added and taken away from it with every couple of measures. In Glitch, it's a bit harder to latch onto, but there's a certain beat that is everlasting throughout the song, constantly adding and taking away different parts. But by far the most interesting part about these songs is how each and every new part feels completely different from the one before it, while still fitting in with each other with relative ease. I will admit, Glitch does this a little bit more seamlessly, but the thoughts behind them are still the same. I would still argue that Triangle is by far this band's most creative work at the very least, and if you want a more in-depth look as to what these songs are kind of hinting at, I would really recommend giving it a listen, Even if the song itself isn't particularly your style, I promise you the production is enough to leave you impressed. I have had my eye on these girls since Got7, and can I just say they have not disappointed yet. The sudden hiatus scared me a bit, but man am I glad they decided to not give up on these girls. Each song brings a new color to the discography without ever straying too far from where they started. Hide and Seek was certainly no La Luna, and while I do think we were robbed of at least one performance of that song, Hide and Seek is a great expansion of what they have already created. With an interesting beat and many catchy hooks, this song shines light onto the cuter side of girl group music that they haven't fully explored yet, all while still showing off what these girls are capable of. It's been clear to me since Fresh that these girls are planning to bring a lot more than just good music to the table. Between Yeju and Iji, they have some amazing performers in their ranks. Those two plus Chaerin also leave some great vocals to the party as well, not to mention the absolute fun that Junie and Jackie are to watch and listen to, and even Chowon and Sohee have their moments in songs as well. So maybe it's no La Luna, but it's still pretty interesting in my book.
Darling you, so darling you.
Darling is such a beautiful song with an even more beautiful music video. It may be relatively simple in production, but that doesn't take away from its charms at all. I don't think I really fell in love with this song in the way I am now up until the actual album was released, though I'm not really sure why, as it is kinda just thrown atop the album anyways. But it's a really beautiful song nonetheless. Simple, cute, and with some really sweet vocals as always. Hot, on the other hand, I haven't had the most sturdy relationship with. I clicked on the song when it first came out and decided within a solid minute that the song wasn't for me. However, much like with Darling, when I actually listened to the full album, the song grew on me a lot more. It's certainly not the 17 I know and love, but it's still interesting in its own right. I do wish they would have done more for what is pretty much their 7th anniversary album, but I can appreciate the will to change, and I don't think the direction they're going in is bad by any means. It's a catchy song and manages to play on their strengths as much as their prior releases did. I really like the way the chorus feels like it just keeps going. It leads into such an interesting hook. I don't know how I'm going to feel about the constant siren screaming in my ear a week from now, but for now, I think it actually drives the song forward. It doesn't become the song's only personality trait, but it gives it a certain flavor as well. All in all, it's not their best work, but it's still certainly a job well done nevertheless.
Baby, 1, 2, 3, I'll change the fate. Break it down.
Me and Ciipher have had kind of a rocky relationship. Their debut was not it for me, even if some of the B-sides were pretty good. On the other hand, their first comeback was really, really good. However, Joker was the only song that really stuck out to me from the track list. Now we have what I would argue is their best album yet, with their most mediocre title. It's not a bad song by any means, it's just a bit dull compared to their last release. I just keep waiting for the song to do more than what it is. And while it does have some pretty good parts, overall, if it weren't a part of this album, I probably wouldn't be listening to it. Ciipher is a group that I see so much potential in. It's just a matter of channeling it. One of the things I want from them is something that I don't think we've really seen in the 4th gen yet, and that's a good rap duo. Now don't get me wrong, the 4th gen has already seen some amazing rappers, and I do think that there are actually 3 rappers in Ciipher, but from what I can tell, most of the more intense verses go to Won and Tag, and Keita just kind of fills in the spaces that they leave behind. These two boys are extremely talented and right on the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what I'm wanting from them. It's not so much the fact that there's 2 of them as much as it is the way that they are used. We've yet to see what older groups had with their rappers, I think. The way they played off each other in their group songs. They just match. Jihan and IM, Youngkook and JLo. It's something I've wanted to see from a 4th gen group for a long time, and if anyone's going to figure it out, I really think it'll be these 2. You know, it's kind of become a common joke to say that GOT7 have always jumped from sound to sound without ever finding one of their own. But this just feels so much like them. Maybe it's the more in-depth look that we've gotten into their own releases since, but this release just feels so familiar in a way. The song has an almost magical feel to the instrumental that gives the song a somewhat airy feel to it, allowing for the extremely fun yet mellowed out chorus to really come into full effect when it's needed. And can we just talk about how much fun this was for them as well? This was a super anticipated release, and they managed to just ignore that completely and do what they're best at, just having fun and making music. It was so interesting to see all their own styles merged into one for this song, and it leaves me not only excited for what's to come next, but also for even more of their own songs as well. Now this is the Astro we all know and love. This fun and refreshing concept just looks so good on them, and I am so glad to finally have it back. The amount of times I've listened to the song and album as a whole, and it has yet to get tiresome. Such dedication to the pop genre has proved them well. This song manages to feel pretty laid back while still feeling so filled to the brim at the same time. The full and fun chorus is like a breath of fresh air, and Rocky's and Jinjin's raps are some of my favorite yet. With a runtime of just under 3 minutes, this song manages to jam-pack so much into it. It's fast-paced without ever feeling overwhelming, yet it's overflowing with excitement. I am obsessed with how MJ and Sana sound in this song. MJ bringing in the first chorus was such a great introduction, and having Sana lead the pre-chorus before handing it over to Jinjin and Rocky was such an amazing choice as well. Also, their fits, the music video, everything about this song was just amazing in every way, as well as the entire album, and this is most definitely going to be my summer anthem this year. Lightsum have been kind of playing the imitation game up until this point, and while I still don't think this is a sound that they can fully claim as their own, this is certainly a style that fits them the most. This playful, youthful look matches their charm so well, and this is the first time any of the actual members have actually stood out to me in any way. I don't know if this is my favorite song ever, but without a doubt this is their best yet. The beat is interesting if not a bit overused, and the song as a whole is actually quite memorable. I really hope that up until this point they've just been trying to find out what works for them, and now that they've found something they'll hopefully stick with it. I don't think the song is anything to shake my stick at yet, but if they continue on with this style, I really think that there's something for this group here. I just hope there's someone back there willing to put the effort in alongside these girls to find it. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Feel free to exit as you please. However, there is one last stop on this train, and that is the gift shop. Feel free to shop around as you like and enjoy some of my favorite B-sides of this month. And as always, until next time, travelers.
절대 더 돌아가지 않아 이 쌀고백 전부 다 무너져버릴 거야 like a domino 난 기다리고 있어 둘만의 something something 살며시 미소지어 꿈 같던 순간들 잠시 안녕 우리들만의 story Shadow my shadow 널 남에게 보이지 않으려 뜨거운 내 속에 달려라 갖고 싶은 걸 모두 그 말들이 와서리 돼 내 모습은 관용이 돼